This is Tom Fox. I'd like to welcome you to the newest addition to the Compliance Podcast Network, the Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. Join us as we explore the latest trends from the Department of Justice, share some best practices, demystify complex compliance issues to help keep your organization doing business ethically and in compliance, and at the end of the day, more profitably. Tune in daily for your dose of compliance wisdom. Let's make compliance a little less daunting, one tip at a time. Now a word from the sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, Ethico.
In compliance, the value of anonymous reporting is undeniable. But with Ethico, anonymity doesn't mean a loss of connection. Our blinded, two-way communication fosters an environment of trust and confidentiality, encouraging open and honest dialogue. It's not just about receiving reports. It's about understanding the story behind each one, creating a culture of integrity and respect. Transform your approach to anonymous reporting with Ethico. Begin your journey at ethico.com/CPN, where you can book a demo, access an exclusive white paper by Tom Fox titled The ROI of Compliance, and utilize our free ROI calculator.
Today on Compliance Tip of the Day, we begin a short series looking at the problem with and some solutions for compliance training. So what's the problem? This topic bedevils many compliance professionals, and of course, it's ethics and compliance training. 15 years ago, compliance training was written by lawyers for lawyers. There is also a difference in the European approach, which focused much more on values as opposed to the American approach, which focused on rules and regulations. Hopefully, American compliance and ethics training has evolved past this simplistic approach, but there's still a problem. And that problem is compliance training does not engage employees in a meaningful way. The issue of non-engagement by employees with compliance training is the billion-dollar elephant in the room for compliance and ethics. The problem is even made more critical as compliance training is one of the most important functions that a ethics and compliance department perform. It is important in terms of the size of the budget, and the intended industry is huge. But the problem is many compliance professionals and corporations view it as simply a check-the-box exercise that we have fulfilled our requirement to train people, but they do not think in terms of the behavioral impact. A Gallup study from 2023 showed that 3/4 of compliance training showed little to no benefit. Another finding was that compliance training tended only to have a benefit after experienced very positively by the learner. When the learner rated compliance training as excellent, the compliance training itself had a positive impact on behaviors. Compliance professionals must understand what makes people engage in compliance training. NAVEX had an interesting article on the 10 top reasons compliance trainings failed. The most frequent answer given was that compliance training is uninspiring, unmemorable, and often perceived as irrelevant to learners. The 4 biggest killers of engagement in compliance training are: number 1, deficit-focused training; number 2, passive learning; number 3, isolated learning; and number 4, the lack of playfulness. As far back as 2017, the Department of Justice said training should be effective. Businesses must move past the check-the-box mentality so they can enhance the user experience in compliance training. This month's sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, including this podcast, is Ethico. Have you ever wondered about the ROI of your compliance program or had concerns with presenting budget proposals to your CFO? Well, I partnered with Ethico to write a white paper on the ROI of compliance and how you can think through compliance as an investment strategy. Ethico has put together a ROI calculator for you. Check them out on the website. This is Tom Fox again. This new podcast, Compliance Tip of the Day, will appear daily. And frankly, it's one of the most requested topics for a podcast that I get on a regular basis. It's going to be short and sweet with one tip with some takeaways that you can utilize to implement into your compliance program. If you've got a question that you would like a tip on, please submit them through our website, and we will use them in an upcoming episode. The Compliance Tip of the Day is a production of the award-winning Compliance Podcast Network.